Salmon of knowledge, just a salmon of knowledge, just a salmon of knowledge, just a salmon of knowledge, salmon of knowledge, salmon of knowledge podcast. Hey, Salmon Skins! Welcome back to Edwin Salmon of Knowledge. Now, trigger warning and spoiler alert, I'm going to be apologising. So if you are triggered by people apologising, if you find that to be a weak-ass move, if you think that people apologising are weak-willed people that can't stick up for themselves and can't justify their own actions, well, I'm sorry. So there's the apology. No, this is an episode that is coming to you after a week off. I took a week off, and you know what? I think I deserve it. No, I know I deserve it. And I know because I know some people, and I'm kind of like that myself a little bit, where if something I enjoy, like if my favourite podcast, I hope this is your favourite podcast, if my favourite podcast didn't release episodes on a fairly regular basis, I'd get like, oh, why aren't there more episodes? Now, some of them are, you know, just kind of season-based and sort of dump them out there. But this podcast is not really about anything in particular, so I can't like have seasons, because it's kind of just me rambling and talking about my life and talking about various pop culture things that are happening and various things that are happening in my life that are, I guess, funny. And certainly some funny things have happened, but also life has happened and life's gotten in the way. And for once, I am feeling like, I don't know, I'm sick of talking about the thing that I'm not going to talk about, because everyone's just talking about it, and you end up saying, I'm not going to talk about it, and you ring your loved ones and you end up talking about it for 35 minutes. Hello, Dad. But also, it's because I'm just, you know, I want to escape from this thing. Let's call it the Jabberwocky. I want to escape from this Hullabaloo. It's a hell of a hullabaloo. It's an awful shite of a thing, and it's really getting everyone down. So let's forget about that, and let's have some fun. So what I've been doing in the last while is I have been taking a break, because I have been doing this podcast for 10 months, and I initially was doing it every couple of days, every 2 days or something, which was insanity. So then I, you know, did it once a week, comes out on a Friday. I had extra episodes that I'd put out that were just movie-based episodes that you can check out if you're listening to this podcast for the first time. Hello, people from around the world, maybe. Well, I'm not saying maybe. I know exactly where people are listening. Hello, Canada. Hello, Venezuela. Hello, Japan. One of those is true. So I asked people on Instagram, because I was bereft of experience, really. And when you don't have much experience, when you're just kind of in your house, you're just consuming stuff. I was talking about Bridgerton in the last couple of episodes, which is now the most watched thing on Netflix. And some people are a little bit sort of, you know, it's not that great and blah, blah, blah. And I say it's very, very good, because it is what it is. It's not trying to be something else. It's not Mind Hunters or whatever that show was called. It's not Night Stalker, which was okay. People seem to be raving about that. It's a fine thing. It's another true crime thing. It's just, you know, the most interesting thing about that, I suppose, was that little clip of the woman in episode 3 or 4. I think it was episode 3. There's only 4 episodes. When Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, the serial killer / rapist / slasher, he had like groupies in the courtroom, and there's a lovely lady in the episode who says, I'll find the clip. And she was right. She was bloody right. So I asked people what they were watching. Now, to be fair, Bridgerton made me laugh, because there's numerous scenes of your man Simon, and he likes to spar with his boxing friend when he's in London. And there's like a lot of scenes of them sparring topless for everyone to enjoy. but he gets an awful lot of punches to the face, and he never gets a bruise, he never gets a cut. And these are like bare knuckle boxing. And it's ridiculous. It got to a point where there's an episode later on where Daphne's brother is going to like punch him. And I remember saying when I was watching it with Cara, just going, well, I mean, punch away. He's completely immune to punches. You can't bruise him or cut him. He's like a bloody statue. That was the most ridiculous thing. But Bridgerton it's a silly show. It's a fantasy show. It is what it is. You can't really complain about something for being a good example of what it is. If you want something more serious, you can seek out something more serious. I have been watching Cobra Kai. I'm in season 3 of it, which just went up, and it's gotten to a point now where it's this weird mix of, like, the first season of it is really good. It sets up the characters very well. It's got lovely little sequences, and now it's getting very sort of convoluted and complicated and sort of melodramatic and goofy. It's like a weird mix of soap opera and kind of throwback 80s show. It's like it's got some comedy in there as well, but it's getting very sort of soapy. And honestly, it really made me laugh out loud when it wasn't supposed to. There is, and this would be a bit of a spoiler alert for Cobra Kai, although it didn't really concern the main characters. Well, it concerned Johnny and his old karate buddies from Cobra Kai from back in 85. Because one thing the show does is whenever any of the characters think about what happened in the past, they just show a clip from one of the old Karate Kid movies, the original 3 that Ralph Macchio was in. In fact, there's an episode in season 3 where like the first 5 minutes is just a clip from the Karate Kid 2 when he went to Japan with Mr. Miyagi and nearly got killed by another karate lad. And it was just it was a bit much. I mean, they're saving money by, let's just use the first 5 minutes of this thing that was already shot 40 years ago nearly at this point. Now, Ralph Macchio is 60 years old. Now, this episode, Series 2, Episode 6, when Johnny meets up with these old karate boys and one of them is like terminally ill. And they basically go and recreate that movie Wild Hogs. This is like his kind of last night out. I don't know if you've seen the movie Wild Hogs. I certainly haven't. I think I saw about 4 minutes of it on TV, which was too much. It's a movie about sad middle-aged men, John Travolta, Martin Lawrence, Tim Allen, and someone else. I want to say Tommy Lee Jones. No, it's not Tommy Lee Jones. He wouldn't do that. Who's the fourth guy? It's not Robert Duvall. It's not someone. Who is it? I can't remember. I can't remember because I haven't seen it.
If you're into motorcycles, do what all the bikers do. Rent that movie Easy Rider. Wild Hogs is not for you. John Travolta isn't sexy. Martin Lawrence isn't tough. Mr. Allen isn't funny. Only Macy's got the stuff. Laugh if you like, but I look good on my bike. Oh, I look mean in Wild Hogs on my machine. In Wild Hogs, oh boy, this boy can ride. I've got it all together when I'm all zipped up in leather. Then, I don't know, I just look good in hide. Johnny, go back to school. Martin, your big mama's fooling. Tim, you're just a tool. You think you've got velocity, but I got felicity. I'm the only one that's cool. I'll say it again. I'm the only one that's cool.
There you go. That's who it is. And they go, Johnny and the guys are like in the hospital, and there's this discussion where they're like, I don't know if he'll even live through the night. Are we going to really take him out here and go to a bar and drink, watery, pissy American beer and then sit around a campfire and talk about our lives? And he's already like ready to go. And he's like, let's do this, guys. And he's the guy in the movie, in the original Karate Kid, who does that line where he's like, the body bag line, whatever it is. Yeah, get a body bag ready or whatever. Yeah, that bit. And he ends up like chatting with Johnny, who's at he's kind of, what am I going to do about the Cobra Kai and being a sensei? And then he just like passes away. And in the morning, he's like lying under the tree, and he's gone, and he's died. And they all have known that this is going to happen because he is terminally ill. And there's this weird slow motion sequence happens, and it's intercut with another thing that's happening somewhere else. And it's like, there's a song playing, so you don't hear them, and they're just like, but they're like pounding on his chest. And, they call 911, and an ambulance gets here, and they're trying to revive him. And then the paramedic is like shaking his head in slow motion. And it's just ridiculous. It's like he's been, stabbed, or he's had a heart attack or something. And it makes no sense. It was just so funny. And the only reason they had it is because they wanted to, like, your man gets zipped up in the body bag as a sort of a callback to the line that he said in the Karate Kid.
So you okay? Can you go on? Get him a body bag! Yeah! All right. Hey, do it again.
But I don't know why they're wrapping him up in a body bag like he's a murder victim. It makes no sense at all. And it's the show is kind of full of goofy, kind of schlocky kind of stuff. And I like goofy and schlocky when that's what it's supposed to be. So if you want to watch something really, really good, I wouldn't say that Cobra Kai isn't, like, it's not something that once I've finished watching it, however long it runs, if it runs for another season, which it probably will, I don't know, I've got maybe 3 episodes of this season left. I'm guessing they're going to do a season 4. It's fairly popular, and I think I'll watch it. It's like Battlestar Galactica for me at this point. I'd watched Battlestar Galactica, and it had finished. The show had ended, and then I started watching it on, I think, my brother's DVDs. I think Julian gave me his DVDs. Thanks, Jules. And thanks for that present that you sent me during the week. He'll know what that means. I mean, I could tell you what it is, but I won't. Now it makes it sound like I've got some sort of sex toy from my brother or something. Thank you for the fleshlight that you recommended, Julian. But Battlestar Galactica was something that I started watching and was enjoying. And then I got to a point where it's like, this is kind of, I'm not enjoying this anymore. And cool story, bro. But I'd been watching so much of it, and I was so far into it that there was less of it to watch to finish it. So it would have seemed like if I was over, which I was like 60%, 70% through the show at that point, and it was just getting worse. And I was like, well, I'm in for the long haul now. And then once I finished it, I have no desire to watch it again. There's certain shows that you can rewatch that I have been rewatching, not in their entirety, but The Sopranos is one. And I was talking to Cara about watching Watchmen again. It's like 9 episodes, that HBO series that came out. Was it last year? Was it the year before? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what time of the year it is in this year of our Lord, 2200s. And Buck Rogers is hanging around with the robot. Boom, 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 down the shop. I'm gonna get me socks and get me some chops. I'm gonna cook him up. I'm gonna come home. Gonna drink milk and talk on the phone. I thought I'm gonna do with my time. You can come along if you like. That's what's gonna happen to me. This is the pandemic, you see. So, I have recently finished playing The Last of Us, the video game that I was playing. and got into. Initially, I was like, it's a bit too close to home because the plot revolves around a kind of a post-apocalyptic wasteland. And I wanted to play the sequel, and it hadn't been spoiled for me. And that's the present that my brother sent me, was The Last of Us 2. Thank you, Julian. So I will be playing that soon and probably talking about it. Who knows? That could be a separate podcast entirely, because I know some people aren't into video games, such as my beloved Cara. And I was discussing video games with her because something happened recently. And I'll tell you what happened. Now, where we are, well, I don't know, I've gone all hush now. You know, sometimes when you're talking about someone that you don't know that lives across the street, and even though there's a whole house and a street and another house between you and that person, somehow they will hear you, even though you know that they won't. It's where the logic part of your brain fails and you just become a dumb animal. It's weird. It's like if you're standing directly outside a window and someone's on the other side of that window and you start mouthing as if that window can block all sound. So here's the story. All about how I took up Last of Us and put it down. I said, hang on a minute, wait right there. I'm going to go for a walk in the cold night air. And I did. I went for a walk. I've been going for these kind of, nightly walks because there's not that many people around. And I'll walk, I'll listen to a podcast or something like that. It's my kind of unwinding time at the end of the day. And I've been enjoying it immensely. And a couple of times when I've gone outside and across the road in one of the houses, like, first off, it's not my fault that I can see everything that's going on. I don't have my peepers with me, my binoculars. I'm just looking with my naked eyes across the road. And there's a guy sitting on a couch, and he stood up from the couch, turned around, and he started punching the cushions of the couch. And I was like, okay, that's a bit strange. And I'm guessing he's just feeling the results of this, Hullabaloo, Jabberwocky type situation that we're all in. And then I saw his partner come into the room, and she was all kind of wide-armed, sort of pleading. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, is this something shitty happening over there? And then the other night, on a separate night, I was walking out and I saw the same individual do the exact same thing. So I kind of crossed the street and I walked so I could get nearer to the house. I wasn't invading anyone's private property. I was still on a public road, Gard, I'd have you know, and my tax disc was stuck onto the middle of my forehead. So I'm in complete compliance. And I walked past the house and I kind of glanced and looked in because there's no curtains. And I saw the source of his anger. Now, I thought he was watching sports and he was really invested in a number of sports teams. Because I know sports isn't played. They don't play the sports ball every night of the week. But it wasn't sports. He wasn't upset that his team, the Wolverhampton Wanderers, had lost their latest football game. He was playing Fortnite and getting frustrated because obviously some 8-year-old in Wyoming was more skilled at him in the game of Fortnite, which is a first-person shooter that I know my nephew Killian plays a lot of, and I kind of found it a bit amusing because I had finished previously. I had finished The Last of Us, and if you haven't played The Last of Us, it ends, and this isn't a spoiler because I'm not actually going to say how it ends, but just in a general sense, like a lot of video games end on a sort of an anticlimactic kind of moment. It's very rare that you get a video game that ends, because a lot of the time they don't end definitively because they may make sequels. And of course, with The Last of Us, they have made The Last of Us 2, which I know very little about. I know that one of my patrons, Dead Badger, told me that it's quite grim And initially, I was finding playing The Last of Us sort of grim because of the subject matter of a virus taking over the world, just because it reminds me of that movie 28 Days Later, which I haven't seen in a long time and I miss it. But I'll watch it again soon, and maybe even 28 weeks later, if I can say it even, and I just did there, kind of. And I'm just going to leave that in, because I'm human, and we all make mistakes. Even podcasters make mistakes, folks. So games kind of end with a sort of a, oh, or a kind of a, huh? Or at worst, a, So if you get those emotions from video games, I mean, there's a great game, Half-Life 2, which is one of the greatest games ever. And that's got a really satisfying kind of surprise ending where you really didn't expect it. What's that other game that Valve did? Portal 2. And Portal, but Portal 2 has got a savage ending. Really, really good. Really, really good. 4 stars for that ending, I say. I am the video game man. Everything I say about video games is to be listened to by you. But The Last of Us ends with a really kind of interesting sort of character beat where one character tells something that's not true to another character, and it's like, oh god, it gets really, really dark. And I'm not going to spoil it, but it's really when you finish it, it kind of instills you with this sense of ennui and melancholy, and you're kind of like, wow, it's a real kind of gut punch the first time round. Now, replaying it the second time round, I was just bang, 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 I'll kill everyone. I don't care about moral consequences this time round. But I just found it funny that, I was walking out going, yeah, I guess, wow, tough decisions that, God, Joel really had to make those hard calls and all that kind of stuff. And this guy was just like getting really annoyed at children beating him. Because I don't play online. I used to play Mario Kart online when I had the Nintendo Wii back when I was 22. And I would get annoyed at 10-year-olds from Japan beating me at a video game. So that's my video game story. Now, myself and Cara, we had what we would kind of class as a holiday, which was it during the week? Yeah, I think, or maybe it was Saturday. It was Saturday. Yeah, I think it was Saturday. I don't know what day. I don't even know what day it is now. But we went to get mold remover. Looking at romance in your eyes, we're going to get those things that couples need because we don't want to be breathing in spores. It's actually linked to The Last of Us, because in The Last of Us, the virus that takes over people's brains and turns them into ravaged zombie-like monster creatures is spores. And we had like spores on the wall, a bit of mold, so we had to get some mold remover, some cleaner, and then we decided to have McDonald's. And I'm not the biggest fan of McDonald's. Cara loves McDonald's. I was like, yeah, I'll get something. I always find myself to be kind of more hungry after a McDonald's than... I'm a Burger King man, okay? And I know, look, in the grand scheme of things, McDonald's and Burger King are probably just evil corporations that shell out terrible food. I mean, I know, I've seen Super Size Me, but look what happened to that guy. Do a little Google on Morgan Spurlock. Go to google.com. So we went through the drive-through and we got our burgers and we ate those. And then there was a Burger King right beside us. And we were like, yeah, come on, why not? Because we haven't had fast food like that in a long time. I think it's been like maybe a couple of years since I had McDonald's. So we sat in the car and a little bird stood on its legs. Birds don't really sit. Perched is the actual fucking word for it. A little birdie perched on the side mirror of the car, and we watched him. And then he flew off into the blue sky, and we listened to the radio, and we chatted, and I was like, this is basically a date. This is like a date night, but it's in the middle of the day. And then we went home and did our chores. And that's how exciting it's been, folks. Okay, we're going to take a little break because the excitement is getting too much. So here's a silly little jingle to lead us to the break. Listen to the jingle, and then when it ends, there'll be ads. So, I don't know, use the skip button if you want. Bye! Good. Everything is proceeding as planned. All events are conspiring, as I have foreseen. All the pieces are falling into place. Like a game of chess, I have outwitted my opponent. Soon he will surrender his king. Soon, everything that I have planned will come to fruition. All the seeds I have sown will soon bear fruit. Every one of my enemies shall soon be vanquished. You have been a pawn in my big game of chess that I am playing, where you are unaware of the game. Pawns do not know of such plans. Everything shall proceed as per my design. I am the shadowy villain. Rated PG-13. And welcome back. Guys, I put up a few questions on Instagram because I was, as I said, bereft of things to talk about. I said any topics, any movie, show recommendations, any what's the best sequel ever. All these things that people sometimes put on Twitter in order to get a nice thread going and get people interested and get people flocking to their neck of the woods and going, "Ooh, what's going on here? It's exciting." People are asking questions and saying, giving hot takes. I think Godfather Part 2 is the best sequel of all time. What do you think? Actually, nobody said that. But I will read out some of the things from some of my Instagram friends in no particular order. Laura DeForge, who is from my hometown of Burr. Hi, Laura. Thanks for your question. She said, do prequels count? This is in response to my best, worst sequels. If so, worst Star Wars Episode 1 to 3, Indiana Jones does spaceships, Crystal Skull shite. Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull shite. Yeah, prequels, worst Star Wars Episode 1 to 3, yeah, they're bad. They're boring movies. And a lot has been said. I guess they're sequels in the sense that they were made after the original. So yeah, they do count. They're probably bad. Although I think, to be honest, I would rather watch, even though I'm not saying, and this is not me apologizing for the prequels, or saying that they're better or worse, but just from I think Revenge of the Sith probably makes more sense than Rise of the Skywalker. That film was just fucking terrible. And there was just too much of it, too much going on. Now, Indiana Jones definitely should have ended after the third one. The Crystal Skull was terrible. I did read, because I was reading about James Mangold, who directed Logan, and is directing the next Indiana Jones movie, which by the time they start making it, Harrison Ford will be 80 years old. And I've got to get this into a museum. Hurry up. Now, I did read someone saying their theory, which could be true, and Disney own Indiana Jones now, but it's going to be Indiana Jones and the Fountain of Youth. And there's going to be some bad guy who wants the Fountain of Youth, and then they get there and they're fighting at the end, and Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones gets knocked into the Fountain of Youth, and the actor playing the younger version of him from then on will emerge from, like, Chris Pratt or whomever will come out and be like, I'm Indiana Jones, but young, and now I can have many, many more movies to make Uncle Disney happy. I hope they don't do that. It'd be very goofy. I think just leave it. Forget about Indiana Jones, or do a redo of Young Indiana Jones, the TV show. Do that, remake it with someone else. Because that was like him going through time, meeting famous people. Now, She Likes the Sea, which is your Instagram name, responded to my question about sequels. Jack Frost 2, Revenge of the Mutant Killer Snowman. Yeah, I don't know if that is a real movie or not, but let me just check on Google. I know there is a Jack Frost with Michael Keaton, which is a sort of a family film. So I don't know if Jack Frost 2... Oh yeah, Revenge of the Mutant Killer Snowman from 2000. I don't think that is in the same universe. It says it's a horror comedy. Now, 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. There's no one famous in it. Yeah, it looks bad. Is it so bad that it's good though? That's what I'm wondering. She Likes to See, or is it just because you haven't said? I've said best worst sequel. Maybe it is simultaneously the worst sequel and the best sequel. So yeah, good answer. Also, She Likes to See recommended Broadchurch, which I have seen. It's where the Queen and Doctor Who solve a murder. Sarah Griffin recommended Thunder Road as a movie, which is I don't really know that much about it. I know that the guy who acts in it wrote it and directed it and produced it and co-edited it and did all the catering and gave people nice relaxing massages at the end of the week. And it's a kind of a comedy drama sort of thing. So yeah, I might check that out and maybe talk about it on a future podcast episode. Lord of Forge, who is the Lord of the Forge from America, from the Deep South. Lord of Forge also recommended Schitt's Creek. I've heard of this show. Actually, Schitt's Creek was one of those things where I kind of got a bit annoyed at people just, saying, I can't get into Schitt's Creek. Is there something wrong with my brain that I don't enjoy the show that everyone seems to enjoy? I had a similar experience where I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. And then just eventually, I can't say exactly what it was or what happened, but just something clicked. And I was like, okay, yep, I like this show. And it's funny. And Catherine O'Hara is definitely the best thing about it. But all the characters are pretty good. And it's a nice show. So I still haven't finished it. I've been kind of watching it. I think at one point I kind of had it on in the background sort of thing, which I think is something you can do with that show, but only after you've just watched it. It's destined to become one of those kind of comfort. Having it on in the background is the sort of show equivalent of having a nice roaring turf fire in the room at the same time. McMafia. She says, the fun of one cancels the trauma of the other. McMafia? Is that a McDonald's themed mafia show where people get McHitted on? Take out McWhacked? That's it. That's what I meant to say. I'm leaving that in as well. Look, these are just the mistakes that I make. Ashleen 1991. She is the only Ashleen from 1991. No other Ashleens were born in 1991. She responded to my question sticker, The Boys on Amazon Prime. Of course, I love The Boys. Great show. Really enjoy all the characters. Really enjoy the sort of anything can happen to anyone at any time kind of thing going on. I know they're going to be making a season 3. So season 1 and 2 are on Amazon. Very, very good show. Very good indeed. So, Anya McD. Hey, Anya. Anya McD, one of my favourite people on Twitter. If you don't follow Anya McD, follow Anya McD. Best sequel, Paddington 2, which I haven't seen. I know, I've seen Paddington, and actually Paddington was a really, really good movie that I watched hungover in the cinema, and there was hardly anyone there. It was like a Sunday, and it was a lovely kind of big, warm, cuddly blanket of a movie. And I hear that the sequel is even better. And Brendan Gleeson is in it with a big beard. And I think he's a baker because I've seen, images. So Sharon Conway, 71. The 71st of the Sharon Conways responded to my question sticker. I got to stop saying that. I'm binged on Bridget Naiman. Kept me sane or insane, whichever is funnier. Well, I mean, it depends. If it's insane but within a TV show, then that's, and a comedy, then maybe that's fun. But I think being kept sane is funnier, because then you can laugh at normal things. If you're insane, you could end up laughing at, just nothing, the wall. And that's not good. Now, Meg Aglove. Me Gaglove? Is it me Gaglove? Anyway, whatever your name is, you're wearing a mask. Just the top half. The sort of superhero mask, not the Insanity Times mask. Best movie sequel. Terminator 2. Yeah, pretty good. Maybe the best sequel of all time. And the thing about Terminator 2 is, Terminator 2 was what James Cameron wanted to do with Terminator 1. The first Terminator, he had an outline. He had the T-1000 in there. It was like two Terminators were sent back. And one of them was the sort of the T-800, the kind of just regular commoner garden robot cyborg. But the other one was the liquid metal shape-shifting one. But they just couldn't do it in 1984. But then by the time 1992 came around, he could do that. And it's kind of like Terminator 2 is a classic example of the same yet different, and just in movie terms just kind of upped a notch. Kind of reminds me of video games in a way. Now, wait, where are you going? Come back. Because it's like a video game. Everyone kind of steps up. Everyone levels up. So you have Arnold Schwarzenegger, the bad guy in the first movie, becomes the hero. And that was like a secret at the time. No one even knew about it, because there was no internet to sort of ruin it. But he steps up, becomes the hero, and then you get the liquid metal Terminator. So you get a much harder villain, and it's just bigger, more explosions, and great effects, and it's just a perfect action movie and a great sequel. Because the first Terminator is quite sort of grim and dark, but this one is like a big popcorn movie, but it's still got that same kind of excitement and the hook of time-traveling killer robots, which is what you want. So, Steve Bennett comedy, the comedy version of Steve Bennett, Blues Brothers 2000, for both. So, worst and best. The music arguably got better, but the movie got way worse. I haven't seen Blues Brothers 2000 all the way through, although I remember at the time I'm a big fan of the first Blues Brothers movie. It's a weird one. Like, it's a kind of a action comedy musical, I suppose is how you'd describe it. But when they said they were making a sequel and that Dan Aykroyd was going to be in it, and I think they were going to get like James Belushi. Wait, is James Belushi in Blues Brothers 2000? Let me just look up Blues Brothers 2000 here. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves The talk that you will have will not be with me, it'll be amongst yourselves. Don't talk to me, just talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, John Goodman is in it, but they didn't have James Belushi, I guess because James Belushi is not John Belushi. They didn't have him. They got John Goodman instead, who's good, and they got Joe Morton, who there's a link to Terminator 2. He was in what's his name? Miles Dyson from Terminator 2. His whole "I don't know how long I can hold this." That's what she said. And a kid. There's a kid in it as well. Because I remember at the time I thought that, they're going to get James Belushi to play John Belushi's character's brother, because he's an actual brother. And I thought it was going to be... And like Dan Aykroyd was, not as skinny as he was in 1980, but he was still there as Elwood. And I thought, he's going to get like real slim. And, like he was approaching it like Christian Bale would approach a serious drama or something like that. The Machinist, it's like this was Blues Brothers 2000 was going to be Dan Aykroyd's The Machinist. But it turned out it wasn't. So, 2 hours and 4 minutes. It's on Netflix. I don't think I'm going to watch it. I mean, I think the music in the first movie was very, very good. So it'd have to be super, super good to beat that. So I had topics. Jim from Scotland, burning issues. My pee burns. Oh, Jim from Scotland. If your pee is burning, Jim, I would suggest, Sean Connery, I would suggest drinking a lot of water. That's what doctors always suggest. That is actually a thing, that you hear from doctors a lot, is just, just make sure you drink loads of water. Drinking loads of water is the medical equivalent of turning it off and on again. It seems to be a fix-all, be-all, end-all for anything that ails you. So that's my advice, Jim. Drink lots of water. And if there's no water around, drink beer. Or, whiskey. Whatever you have to hand. Orla Ross. Hi, Orla. She has sent me a message. House husband. Discuss. So, I am a house husband. But like every husband right now, you're in a house. I think she's saying, I'm getting up. I'm making the breakfasts and cooking the roasts and walking the dog and doing all that. I don't mind being a house husband. I quite enjoy cleaning and hoovering. It's quite therapeutic. There's a wonderful, this kind of mesh in the ceiling that needed dusting, and I just went through it methodically, each little square with the end of the hoover, and it's just nice and relaxing. It's like the opposite of painting. You're just sucking things off of something instead of carefully placing things on a canvas. Now, obviously, vacuuming is not the opposite of painting. That's just a terrible analogy that I've made. So, guys, thank you so much for all of your questiones. And thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. I'm sorry it took so long for this episode to come out. I will be putting this podcast out basically whenever I want. I'm going to try and make it every Friday. I could make a few extra episodes. I will have a separate podcast that I'm doing, but I will be putting that up on my Patreon page. I'm doing a podcast with some friends, and we're going to be doing it soon, and I hope it's good. You'll get to hear it first on my Patreon page. There is an awful lot of my book on Patreon. There is some extra episodes, one on Radiohead, one on Planet of the Apes, a couple of bloopers, and so on and so forth. But if you want to become a patron, then you can request specific things from me. That sounds dodgy. You can, you can request for me to review movies or talk about certain things or send you personalized messages if you want. Get in on it. That's all part of the experience, which can be yours for a tiny amount of your hard-earned cash. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. I just appreciate you listening. If you could give me a review, that would be amazing. But again, you don't have to. I'm doing that Irish thing of saying, this is what I want, but you're not going to give it to me, and that's fine as well. In fact, that's probably even better. So, guys, I'm going to leave you with a version of a Cat Stevens, a.k.a. Yusuf Islam song, Father and Son, because I don't know if you know this, I've mentioned on the podcast before, I'm going to be a dad, and it's going to be sooner than I know. It's coming in the summer. I hope that this whole bloody hullabaloo clears itself up well within the time. But if it doesn't, sure, we'll keep on going. I mean, I think the planet's going to keep spinning. I haven't heard anything in the news that says anything to the contrary. Thank you so much for listening, and take care. And to play us out, what does that mean, to play us out? Fuck it, I'll do it live. And here it is. Enjoy, guys, and see you later. And bye. See you now. It's not time to make a change. Don't change it, keep it the same. You're still young, that's your fault. Why aren't you a little older? Find a girl or a boy, or find no one at all. If you like, look at me. I'm a man and I'm really old. I was once like you are now, but then I was different. You could be different too, if you change who you are. But take your time or hurry up, slow down, do it faster. It depends on the situation that you're presented with today. How can I try to explain? 'Cause when I do, it's in English. You can speak that you're from somewhere where English is not the first language. You know a few words. You can direct me to a campsite, but that doesn't pertain to what I'm talking about, so we're going to be confused. I know we're going to be confused. I know, but you don't know. I think you're Chinese, or maybe Japanese. I think I'm a racist, 'cause I don't know the difference between ye. I'm sorry for being racist. It's not time to make a change. Stop changing things, will you put it down? I'll take it off you, I'll put it up high where you can't reach it anymore. Give me that, stop picking your nose. Go clean yourself, we're going to the shops, and you can't have Mikados, but you might get hobnobs. And we'll get a chicken dinner. I'll get some extra stuffing, 'cause I really like stuffing, and you can have extra too. You can have whatever you like. And we'll get a bit of ice cream, and maybe wafers, make some sandwiches, but not sandwiches with ham. Dessert sandwiches with ice cream. Dessert sandwiches with ice cream.